Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another Terry Talks Nutrition educational webinar presentation. Today we're going to have as our guest Terry Lemerond. Terry is a retailer, an author, an educator, and an entrepreneur. He has more than 40 years of experience in the natural products industry, and he's researched and developed over 400 nutritional and botanical formulations, and a lot of these products continue to be top-selling products in the market today. He has a personal website and a mission dedicated to health and nutrition, and you can learn more at terrytalksnutrition.com. Today, Terry's going to be joining us to talk about restoring adrenal function. Welcome, Terry.
Well, thank you very much, Cheryl, and thank you for having me. This is a very personal story, and this is a subject that is very dear to my heart. In fact, where I am today, and I have been in the health food industry for the last 45 years, lecturing and educating, doing manufacturing at one time or another, and being in various aspects of the health food industry. And the reason that I'm here is because of this subject, restoring adrenal function. And I'll tell you my personal story before I get into the specific functions of the adrenal and maybe some association with the thyroid. But growing up as a young child, I had a very poor diet. I ate for all the wrong reasons and was never guided to eat correctly. So in my early teens and late teens, I'm 5'7", and I weighed close to 250 pounds. And with that, because of my diet and my obesity, I was a very angry, very unhappy person, experiencing hypoglycemia, low blood sugar, having severe depression and anxiety, and being very obnoxious, belligerent, angry. And a number of people have become angels in my life, and I really do respect them for changing my life. It was a Catholic priest to begin with who took me under his wing when I was in high school and warned me of my behavior, but my behavior was due to my diet and my lifestyle choices. No one helped me change those until this Catholic priest at least took me under his wing and said, Terry, if you don't get out of town and learn to change your life, you're going to end up in jail. I was that close to going to jail. In fact, in my yearbook of high school, they wrote in that I was going to be the first of the class, graduating class, to be found in a jail or a prison of some sort. So where was I going to go? Well, I joined the Marine Corps because I thought the motto that they were saying was true, that they were going to make men out of boys. And I joined the Marine Corps, and there another angel came into my life. Actually, I was a private, and this gentleman was a captain in the Marine Corps. And we don't associate between ranks from private to a captain or to an officer. But yet he took me under his wing. And God bless me, because I don't know why he would ever do that. But he did. He saw something in me that maybe he felt attracted to. Either maybe it was his life, my life, or saw me that I was going the wrong direction. But he taught me how to change my life by eating more correctly, the healthiest foods I should have in my diet, getting me to work out with weights, a good weight-bearing program, and took me to my very first health food store in Oceanside, California, outside of Camp Pendleton. And all of these things changed my life. So learning how to support my adrenal function and my thyroid function became a very, very important part of this change. So this is really close to me because these principles that I'm going to be sharing with you today are the principles that I use to change my life. And today, 60 years later, I am more fit, more healthy, have more energy, than I've ever had in my lifetime, even as a 20-year-old child or 20-year-old man. I travel all over the world. I work out with heavier weights today than I did 6 years ago. I'm more fit, and all the things, you know, we can change our life at any time of our life. It doesn't make any difference whether it's the age or it doesn't make whatever difference the challenge is. It may be that we got to a point where we have done too much damage, which some of that damage we can't undo, but with all the things said, we can make a better quality of life no matter where we are at any time of our life. And really, we are who we are, not because of our heart or our liver or our kidneys or our spleen. We are who we are based on our thyroid and adrenal function. These two glands give us our personality and how we can function throughout our lifetime. So I really would like to share this with you to help you, if you're at a point where I was, that we can make big changes because these factors affect our adrenals. Our diet has a tremendous impact on who we are. They say we are what we eat, and we truly are to a point, especially our personality. My diet as a youngster was carbohydrates and sugar. The same we are seeing today in the American diet, which causes obesity, which causes angry people. If you're not physically fit, we can't be mentally fit. And that's why I was angry, obnoxious, I was belligerent. I would rather smack somebody in the nose than have a conversation. I was just angry. And that comes from carbohydrates and sugar. And we eat a lot today of those two so-called foods. So a big thing is to change the diet. If we don't change the diet, we're not changing our body chemistry, we're not changing our metabolism, so we can have a lot of issues, like infections. I always had a cold and flu. I had warts. I had canker sores. I was always unhealthy. I had measles. I had mumps. I had chickenpox. I had everything. So it slows down the wound healing process because of infection, colds, and flu. We have a negative attitude, no question about it. Everything was wrong. When I went through this lifetime of negativity, I worried about everything because people that have very weak adrenals, which are burned out, and they're burned out because of the sugar and carbohydrates. They're burned out because we have very little activity. They're burned out from our lifestyle choices, and everything becomes more stressful. If we don't have a healthy body, stress becomes a greater impact because we have nothing left to fight with. The adrenals are just two little tiny glands. One sits on the top of each kidney. They weigh about 5 grams. They're about the size of a lima bean, but yet they produce very, very powerful key compounds, steroids, that help us to be healthy and strong. People that have very, very strong adrenals are very strong people. They're both strong physically, emotionally, and mentally. It's like nothing can affect their positive attitude. They're just strong. They're strong and healthy. They have great muscle tone. They have a great head of hair. They are physically strong. Nothing seems to affect them. They're always happy. They're always good-natured. And you find these people in your life. But then you find that other person, like me, then, that worries about everything, makes a mountain out of molehills, that complain about everything, cry about everything. Those people that are having adrenal insufficiency. Now, we're not talking about adrenal or thyroid diseases. We're not talking about Cushing's disease or Addison's disease or hypothyroidism. We're talking about just underactive, just being not to the peak optimal level of the function of the adrenals and the thyroid. So all these things are affected by our lifestyle choices. Whether we smoke, the lack of exercise, or maybe getting too much exercise, getting too tired, never recovering, the lack of sleep, the lack of relaxation, the lack of meditation, overexerting. All of these things have a huge effect on our adrenals. Marital stress, financial stress, death of a loved one, psychological stress, emotional stress, all of these have an effect on our adrenals and our thyroid. Adrenal insufficiency, that means it's just not operating at the level we would like due to the fact that we have made some lifestyle choices that are not in our best interest. And it's one of the major causes behind many of the unanswerable health problems. Exhausted, filled with fear, unusually exhausted after illnesses, never recover, catch illnesses easy, especially allergies and cold and flu, multiple chemical sensitivities, and avoiding risk. People that are weak, they don't want the challenges of risk. They're not strong. I used to work out all the time, and while I still work out, I was heavy. I don't have that muscle structure of someone who has very strong adrenals. You know, our adrenals pump out the steroids, the hormones that we need to be healthy and strong. Just 1 teaspoon a year of these compounds keep us healthy. It isn't very much, but these are very, very powerful. When I was a youngster, I cried about everything. I complained about everything. Everything was wrong. I had so many fears, social fears, school fears. Everything was major catastrophe for me. In fact, even after I was married, we lived in a very small home with 2 very huge maple trees planted outside of the front of the house, one on each side of the front sidewalk leading up to the house. And whoever planted them too shallow, that over time they became huge, huge trees, but they were actually up above the ground because they were planted too shallow. The roots were coming up over the top of the ground. And my fear was that they would always tip over on the house and crush the house. And you know, 35, 40 years later, I rode by the house, they're still there. Those trees are still there. We have so many unfounded fears. We make mountains out of molehills. And you find these people that they cry over everything. They are negative about everything. And it's the attitude that originates from adrenal exhaustion or adrenal dysfunction. We are just too tired, too exhausted. We're just not healthy in order to help compensate for some of these negative activities. So the first step in repairing adrenal function, diet. Number 1. And I have tried major diets trying to find the diet that would give me the best health of my life. And I've been in the health food industry for, as I said, for over 45 years. So I've tried every major diet, trying to find the best diet for me. And I continued to do that over many, many, many years. It wasn't just like a few days or a few weeks that I tried this diet or that diet. But what I came to find out was the adrenals cannot tolerate excessive carbohydrates or sugar. It's like putting fuel on a fire. It's never going to be under control. You're never going to gain to have that fire put out if you continue to fuel it with gas or some other type of flammable component that's going to make the fire even extend beyond what it is. So you have to get the fire under control. You've got to get the adrenals under control. So finally I adopted the ketogenic diet. The ketogenic diet is a diet that has given me the best results of my life. I am more toned, muscle toned. I am leaner and meaner. Not the mean kind I was when I was a child, but you know what I mean, leaner and meaner. Greater and better. And that means I need more animal protein. And what I have come to find out is about 30% to 40% of my diet. And it's not the most important ingredient. and I got my carbohydrates down to almost 0. And the healthy fats, up to 60 to 70% of my diet. That means I consume a lot of flaxseed oil. I consume a lot of olive oil, which to me are medicines to my body chemistry. I consume coconut oil to some degree, and all kinds of animal fats, butter, cream, lard, duck fat. I cook a lot of my eggs or meat in duck fat. Duck fat is a very, very good quality fat. In fact, it's a monounsaturated fatty acids. It's the same kind of fat that you would find in olive oil. So it's got to be low carbs. I'm not saying high protein. When people think, well, you're on low carbs, that means you're on high protein. No, we do need an adequate intake of protein. And it's usually about 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So if you weigh 150 pounds, you might want to get up to 150 grams of protein. That's not high. That's just average. And now they're finding out that the more elderly we become, the more protein we need. And that's why people can't get out of a chair. That's why they don't have any muscle strength, because they're trying to exist on toast and coffee for breakfast, a sandwich for dinner, for lunch with a cup of coffee. They're just not getting enough protein and enough healthy fats. So we need low carbs. And I think everybody should get their carbs down to less than 75 grams of carbohydrates per day. You know, we've been so communicated as to the amount of fats we need because they thought, well, fats are bad for us. That has never been proven scientifically, that fats are bad for us, even animal fats or saturated fats. That has never been proven successfully that it's bad for us. In fact, more research is coming out right now that saturated fats are better for us, or at least they're necessary for us. So we need more fats, high-quality fats. We don't need hydrogenated fats. We don't need trans fatty acids. We don't need margarine. We don't need the vegetable shortenings, which are all artificially hardened, and they solidify into a butter-like substance, but they're not really true fats for us, or synthetic fats. We should have plenty of salt in our diet. Ooh, who said that? Salt in our diet. Well, we need good salt, not the umbrella type salt. We need the Celtic sea salt or the Himalaya sea salt. Why do we need salt? Well, people that have very weak adrenals are very low in sodium. In fact, I like to take about a half a teaspoon, sometimes to a teaspoon of Celtic sea salt, and add it to about a liter, that's about a liter of water, and you can use that throughout the day. We need more sodium. The weak adrenals excrete sodium and retain potassium, and that's why sometimes we can eat a lot more potassium foods. It causes us to even be more angry. But you can go to my website, terrytalksnutrition.com, and there I have outlined what I usually eat in a diet. And you can also go to ketogenicdietresources.com for more information on the ketogenic diet. I try to get my carbs really, really low. I have adequate proteins, but lots of fats. I try to get about 2 to 3 ounces, actually, of olive oil. You know, in the days in the Norwegian countries, the Scandinavian countries, they used to give a shot glass full or a good couple tablespoons of cod liver oil to their kids to keep healthy. Well, in the Mediterranean countries, they do the same with olive oil. I've talked to people from the Mediterranean countries, and they said, Mom always gave us a shot glass full of olive oil every morning before we went off to school. Well, that's the kind of good medicine we need. Olive oil is good medicine, and we need to get the diet really to be the platform of our health. If you have very weak adrenals, if you can't lose weight, if you are worrying about everything, it's all the carbohydrates and sugar, and I think that's one of the biggest problems we have in America today, because 70 to 90% of the American diet is refined carbohydrates and sugar. It's not fats that make us fat. In fact, fats are our friend, and it actually helps us to lose weight. But when you eat carbohydrates and sugar, you're never satisfied. You're never filled. You never seem like you're full enough. So you want to eat more and eat more and eat more. So look at the country today. 49% of the country is obese, and obesity accounts for 40% of all cancer. It increases the risk dramatically. and it's about 39% of people being overweight. Overweight and obesity accounts for a lot of cancer cases. So we need to be lean and healthy. In fact, it's better to eat less than to eat more. So the second step in repairing adrenal function and targeted nutrients, and this is something has helped me dramatically. I make sure that I have a very special combination of nutrients that I take to actually help support my adrenals. Why? Because I don't know why my adrenals were that way. Was that because of my mother's poor diet? Was that because she did not have the nutrients that she needed in order to make sure that she had the right adrenals and I had the right adrenals as I was born? And you know, as I've said earlier in this presentation, the adrenal glands are only about 5 grams, look like about the size of a lima bean. But could we have a defect? Now, when you see somebody who doesn't have, they may be handicapped, we see that. But many of us are handicapped without seeing the invisible changes in our body. Could we only have one kidney, which happens quite frequently, or not, I wouldn't say frequently, but it's common that people have one adrenal because they only have one kidney. So are we trying to function with our adrenals with just one adrenal gland in our body? Or are they just the size of a pea because of the way we are birthed? We don't know why our adrenals act like they do. So sometimes we may never recover entirely by ourselves, but diet will certainly make the biggest difference, and some of the nutrients that I'm going to describe to you will help dramatically, because that's what brought me back on the road, the diet and the supplements. Because the adrenal glands rely on very specific nutrients and hormones, which are required for energy for the adrenals to function, required as raw materials to make adrenal hormones, required to compensate when adrenal function is low. What we're trying to do is just shore up the adrenals the best we possibly can as to where they are, because we only have one, because they're undersized, or because because we've had so much stress, they've atrophied, they shriveled up, they're not there as much as they should be, and we need full functioning adrenals to make us healthy and happy and have that great strength physically, mentally, and emotionally. Weak people are weak because they have weak adrenal glands. That's all it comes down to. So we need to have something to build our adrenals. So supporting the adrenal glands, how do we do that? Well, first of all, we need B vitamins. We need the amino acid L-tyrosine. We need more vitamin C. In fact, you know, we don't retain vitamin C in our body. We don't store it. There is one place that we store at least a small amount of vitamin C because it is so critical, and we store that in the adrenal glands. We need hormonal support, such as DHEA, pregnenolone, and we need adrenal extract. Like people take a thyroid extract to shore up their thyroid gland. Well, the adrenal extract can also do the same thing. It's actually a portion of the gland from an animal. Like thyroid is a portion from an animal. If you take natural thyroid, that is actually taken from an animal. You can take natural adrenal extract, take it from an animal. That actually gives you the same benefits as that animal would have had, and it strengthens the adrenal glands. And then herbal extracts, very, very important, like licorice, Romania. Also, we can also include ashwagandha, rhodiola. There's other things that we can do to make our adrenals better than what they were. Maybe not the best, maybe not somebody else that had powerful adrenals to start off with. Someone that I admire very, very, very wonderfully to show you that how an adrenal type person can actually be. I'll show you that just before I leave the program. But these are the things we can do to strengthen up our body. Now, these are key nutrients. Pantothenic acid and P5P. P5P is the biologically active form of vitamin B6. B vitamins should already be in the active form, and that's why we want to use P5P. The higher your stress levels, the greater the need for B vitamins. L-tyrosine. L-tyrosine is an amino acid found in protein foods. but also we can take it separately if you'd like to, because this is the precursor to all of the hormones that the adrenal glands make. If you don't have L-tyrosine, you can't make the adrenal hormones. You can't make thyroxine for the thyroid, and the thyroid and the adrenals are like cousins. They're like kissing cousins. They work together. So when your adrenals are not working, your thyroid works harder. When your thyroid isn't working, your adrenals work harder. We need vitamin C for the adrenal glands, which have one of the highest concentrations of vitamin C in the human body. It's required for creation of the adrenal hormones. B vitamins, L-tyrosine, vitamin C, very, very key nutrients for the adrenal function. And DHEA is one of my favorites. I've seen women go through terrible menopausal changes, very weak, have exhaustion, fatigue, tiredness, irritability, mood swings, very, very weak muscle strength. Pregnenolone, these are the two, like pregnenolone is the master hormone. DHEA is produced from pregnenolone, but I use both of them. I like both together. That way I know I'm getting everything I need. But DHEA is synthesized in the adrenal glands. The low levels associated with hormone disorders, dementia, immune diseases, and pregnenolone is synthesized by the adrenals. It is the building block for DHEA. Low pregnenolone levels associated with dementia, anxiety, depression. And then if you use a freeze-dried adrenal extract, it contains the naturally occurring hormones and nutrients specific to the adrenal gland. Bovine is best. And you know, people take natural thyroid, like Armour thyroid, or one of the other compounding pharmacy forms of the natural hormone. In there, you're getting all the nutrients, not like a synthetic hormone, but like the glands that have all the hormones and the nutrients that are specific to that particular gland. I'm a very big believer in adrenal therapy. Now, the herbal support in this case, licorice root, it prevents the breakdown of cortisol. Cortisol is the hormone that comes from the adrenals that when you're more under stress, it has a high level, but it burns you out. And this will keep it active longer in the circulation. Rhamania contains a compound which stimulates production of adrenal hormones. So this is a great combination of nutrients that we can use to assure that our body is getting all the nutrients it needs to have a very strong peak optimal level of the adrenal function. Will you feel better with better adrenal function? Absolutely. And I am an example of that. I can take more stress. I am more confident. I'm more positive. It all comes together. When our body is healthy, man, we can be totally different human beings. When we have a very weak adrenal function, very underactive adrenal function, not disease states, but just the level of function of these glands, we can be a totally different person. When we have very strong adrenals, we have great moods, we are very self-confident, we have energy, healthy sex life, and we are resistant to infection and rapid recovery from illness. And we have regular, healthy menstrual cycles and healthy menopausal conditions as well. When we reduce or eliminate lightheadedness and weakness, sweating and food cravings and anxiety. Now these are characteristics of an underactive adrenals. In fact, if you lie down and when you get up very quickly, if you feel a weakness or a lightheadedness or you see stars, as they say, that's because your blood pressure could not rise fast enough to maintain the position from being a lying position to a standing position, and the adrenals are responsible for regulating the blood pressure. So if you have very low blood pressure, and doctors sometimes think that's great because they see so much high blood pressure that if you walk in with very low blood pressure, oh, that's great. You know, they're happy to see somebody with very low because it's the opposite of very high. Sometimes with 90 over 60, that's not healthy. People that have the blood pressure under 90 over 60, they're tired, they're fatigued, they're exhausted. They have very weak adrenal function. So you will eliminate lightheadedness. You will eliminate weakness, sweating, Some people, they get excessive sweating because of very weak adrenals. They get nervous quicker, or they have anxiety quicker. They have nervousness, food cravings. And food cravings usually come because it satisfies their loathsomeness, their lightheadedness, their unusual situations. Now, here is the person that I have taken under my, I guess I would call him my mentor. I like to listen to Joel. I'm not talking about his religious beliefs. That's outside of this subject. But this is a man that has very, very strong adrenals. And why? Look at that crop of hair. That is always a characteristic of someone that has very strong adrenals. I think it's the Samson from the Bible type. He was very strong because of his hair. And that's the fact that you could see me. I don't have any hair. I do shave a little bit off, but I don't have much to shave off. But if you looked at me, I have no hair. Look at Joel's hair. Look at that smile. He's always happy. He's always under control and strong physically. I've met Joel several times. He's about an inch taller than I am, so I must say he's probably 5'8", 5'9", probably weighs about 160 pounds, and he bench presses 2.5 times his body weight. Now, he's not a bodybuilder. He's not a weightlifter. He doesn't do this to try to he's not a power lifter. He doesn't do it as a routine. He just can do it because he has so much strength. He's a very strong person mentally, physically, and emotionally, and in his case, spiritually. So he's an example of a very strong adrenal type person. We all have our characteristics of our physical side, our emotional side, and our mental side, and who we are based on our adrenals. We are our adrenals. So the stronger adrenals you have, the stronger you are in every phase of your life. Your career, the risks you take in your life, the way you go through life in general is based on your adrenals. So this is something that's really critical. If you want to be like Joel, not to believe in his religious beliefs, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying if you want to just be stronger and healthier, happier, and more positive, you got to get lean and mean. So adopt either the diet I recommend on my website or the ketogenic diet, and my intake of carbohydrates is down extremely low. I would say somewhere between 10 and 20 grams, maybe 30 at the most a day. And on the average American, it's 400 grams of carbohydrates a day. So that makes a huge difference. When you're eating 400 grams of carbohydrates over, every day, you're going to be overweight, if not obese. You're going to be unhappy. You're going to be, who knows why we have all this violence. All this violence we have is due, I think, to the American diet and to oversubscription of drugs. So we can be healthy by just using nutritional supplements and the diet, not only to be healthy in general, but our adrenal function as well. Thank you, Cheryl.
And thank you, Terry. I really appreciate all that wonderful information on adrenal health, and one of the things that stuck with me most is the idea that our adrenal gland function so much colors our perception of the world. It can make us happy, it can make us sad, it can make us feel strong, it can make us feel weak, and it just seems to me that there's going to be an awful lot of people out there who will recognize themselves in some of the symptoms that you outlined. So thank you so much for this information.
My pleasure.
Thank you. And folks, for more information, please feel free to visit us at terrytalksnutrition.com. You can sign up for a free weekly newsletter on health tips and natural health interventions. You can listen to recordings of past seminars. You can even ask Terry your own personal health questions. And again, that's at terrytalksnutrition.com. You can also view past webinars on our YouTube channel. So just go to YouTube and type in Terry Talks Nutrition, and you'll get a great menu of a variety of different types of integrative health webinars that might pertain specifically to your own personal health needs or to those of the folks that you love. So thank you for taking your time out of your busy day to learn more about adrenal health. And until we meet again, good health to you. Bye-bye.